Alright. It looks like we are live. Come on, come all. Nothing but love, nothing but respect. You know what we do, what we don't, what we is, what we isn't. New World Supernova here today, giving you guys, giving you gals, nothing but love, nothing but respect. Alright, and today is a lot later than I normally do this. Unfortunately, I've had a hell of a lot of family drama going on this week, and unfortunately, we've had someone pass, but there's always time in life for One Piece, and it's always something that helps mark the week ending. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, One Piece, chapter 1005, Devil Child. Alright? We've got a cover page request. Oh, actually, sorry. If anyone hasn't read the chapter yet, and you are still looking for the link for the chapter, in the description, there is a link to my Discord. In the Discord, I post the links to all the chapters. Feel free to join the Discord if you need access to the chapters. Also, after this live reaction, instead of separating the live reaction with the discussion, we're going to be jumping straight into the discussion video. Okay? So if anyone wants to ask any questions, hit me up on the YouTube's comment section, or separate to the YouTube comment section, you can always join the Discord and post questions in the Discord, and we'll get to them when we see them. Alright? So, moving on, chapter 1005, Devil Child. Alright, we have the cover page request by Komumura no Mi, Katakuri sharing milk and donuts with hungry puppies and kittens. I like this. Katakuri is one of my favorite characters, alright? He's ballooned out from just being sort of a sub-tier, medium-tier sort of generic villain into just like one of the most interesting characters in that, and it's just hard not to love him, alright? He is the second son for a reason, alright? And we all know what he's like. So, let's just keep going and jump into it. Castle floor, in castle interior, third floor banquet hall, within the palace. Looks like I'll have to eliminate those samurai. Ooh. Cayman lady. Are we ready for an island-wide transmission? Yes. Blackleg, be a dear and call Nico Robin now. Ooh, okay. Oh, and Black Marie is looking less goofy than the first time we saw her, but she's still got that mix of like fearful and goofy. It's really interesting. I'd be really interested to see whether or not the human shell on the top half of the body is sort of like a silk trap, or not. It'll be interesting going forward. Editor note, Cayman lady is a type of crocodile. Interesting. Ooh, this is kind of broken. I've spun several layers of hard gum web at the entrance and the floor. She'll be ensnared the moment she sets foot in here. The webs will restrict her movement. That is unless she's already in here, like like that girl we all saw last chapter, and that might be Nico Robin, okay? No Robin disrespect here. She is best gal in all of One Piece, and you can fight me on that. Alright? The webs will restrict her movement, allowing my subordinates to riddle her with tranquilizers after that. And so they've set up a web trap on the floor and at the entrance of the hallway when you walk in. More specifically, something I really want to point out here is Black Maria forming this web out of her fingertips and not having to do the generic spider sort of way of releasing web. So that's really interesting. Oh! Damn! Yo, we got some... Oh, that's what I was about to say. We got some bare-knuckle boxing, but not even... Yo, no wonder she's a beast pirate. So Black Maria slides on some knuckle dusters, whatever you want to call it. Sanji's looking like, oh. And she's just wailing on him. Oh. She's just getting the boxer... She's... Man, she'd be broken in UFC. You just have to call her, and she's laying into Sanji here. So get it over with. Yeah! Sanji's spitting up blood, can't defend himself, fighting a woman, and a damn strong woman at that. She's just belting the crap out of him, full mafiosa style. Beg her to come and rescue you quickly. I have somewhere else I need to be. And she's just belting him. Her fist is like half the size of Sanji's body, though. That's the worst part. He's just getting like absolutely pelted here. I can't hold in my tears anymore. This man, He'd rather die if asking for help means endangering his friends. I might have fallen for him if we weren't on different sides. Oh, and they're just absolutely smacking the crap out of him. Stop! He starts breathing out. How am I supposed to get a word in if you keep hitting me? Huff, huff. He's so defiant. He will probably tell her to go to hell or something. He's never giving in to her. Going to give in. Enough already. Enough already. If you keep angering Big Sis, you will really die. And all the girls are swooning for Sanji. Robin Chuan! Robin Chuan! Save me! Robin Chuan! Number Swan! Oh, I love this. And the girls are all like, wow, he gave in so easily. And they're so shook that he's asked Robin for help. Oh, and Black Maria's looking shook. We're on the 3rd floor. And so this is the person here on the top right of whatever this page is that people were thinking was Robin. I would not be surprised if it is a clone of Robin. So she's glancing out. We're on the 3rd floor. And so it's scanning out to all the people wearing their eye masks in the large banquet hall. And we see the cat, the frog, and the rat. I'm being held hostage. Sorry. Yo! Apoo! You're still up, my dude! Oh, so we've got Drake versus Apoo going on the main floor. I'm pretty sure that big face there is actually... It might have been one of the numbers? No. I don't think it is. I want to say that's Hyogoro the flower there. But that looks like prime Hyogoro, if anything. Not old man Hyo. Oh, we've got Chopper. Sanji, and he's making up the antidotes. How pathetic. Get out of here. Heat. Wire. Who are you? Get out of here. Disrespecting Sanji. What is this? I haven't even seen you take on a gifter yet. How pathetic. Yeah, you're talking about yourself there. How pathetic. We made it in here and we haven't even fought fodder yet. One of the Straw Hats, yeah, and we got Beppo and Penguin. No Sachi though. No Sachi love, I get it. I wouldn't really love him either, but you know, he's not the worst person in the world, alright? He is what he is. Ugh. If you don't come, Robin-chan, I'm going to be killed. Please save me. And so we got Marco. What is that? We got Marco defending the samurai while fighting King and his flying corpse. And King is here with what looks like machine guns on his little hands. And he's just like... Bah, 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 bah. Ah, bah, 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 bah. Yo. King, you looking filthy right now. And we've got Who's Who versus Jinbei, and Jinbei's clashing Who's Who with an arm and a haki hand. Is he aware that the whole island is receiving this transmission? Nico Robin has informed the whole world wants... Nico Robin has information the whole world wants. They must be targeting her. This is obviously a trap. What kind of man does this? Gahahaha. I'm assuming that's Sasaki. And we've got Marco. Ha, what a lively bunch. Yoi. Seriously, he must be up against a woman. Hey Nami, Sanji's voice is coming out of that thing. I saw it earlier too. What is that eye? And so, I'm assuming that's probably Robin's foot there. So she's, walking up towards it and we hear screaming. Ah! Oof, 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 oof. I'm surprised. Hurry up and get me out of these webs. I called her, didn't I? Ah. Big sis, someone's coming. That was fast. Anyway, I wasn't really going to let you leave. What? Weren't you just talking about how much you adored me? This isn't business anymore, it's personal. I want you to be my pet. If she wasn't a spider, that wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. Black Maria is, top 10 gals in One Piece. In terms of fighting, just like my other cuties, we only love Black Maria-sama. They can't live without me. No, I love them all the ladies of the world. Cheating isn't something I can forgive. You need to be disciplined. Wait, my arm and haki won't work. Wait. My arm at Haki won't work. If there's a chance I could hurt you... Oh, okay. Giganso Tescomano! Here we go! Last year, I think it was. Yeah. Last year, I predicted this. I predicted Robin coming in, alright? Number one girl in One Piece coming in, doing her thing, doing what she does, and crushing filthy spiders, alright? And that is what I like to see, and that is what is happening here. Spank. And she just... Get out of here, Black Maria. Just slaps her. Get out of here. Black Maria-sama, how did you get in here? My body can bloom anywhere. How dare you, my face. So that's not even Robin, that's just a Robin clone. You may have lured me here, but did you really think catching a woman like me would be that simple? Actually, no. Do you know what? Is it a clone? Or can she now just swap with the clones? That is a question for later. And Sanji's crying for joy. Robin-chan. I've spent half of my life in unsavory organizations. Naturally, seeing my friend mistreated brings out the devil in me. That is best gal. Ooh, and we got Soul King Brook coming in clutch. Pardon me, but I already cut you free. Whoa. With the underworld's chill. Yoo-hoo-hoo-hoo. And Brook, you are looking clean, man. Full Undertaker getup. I'm loving it. That's like Law's jacket there. Big sis, all the spider webs are breaking apart from the frost. Yo-ho-ho, seems like this is a good matchup for me. Ah, monster. Like, you're one to talk. Yeah, you've... Thanks. I'm going to head to where Kinemon and the others are, huff. I don't know what it is, but I don't think I stand a chance here. We guessed as much. Stop, Blackleg. I won't let you escape. Are those it? Your last word? This actually might be the best panel of the chapter. Robin, you look fierce. Robin, you look monstrous. Robin, you're back to looking like the devil child. I like. Sanji, yes? You've made my day. Thanks for counting on me. Oof. Robin, best gal, hands down. Careful, it's icy over here. Sanji's running off, swooning over Robin and just slips. Oh, this is actually such a great chapter for Sanji and Robin, because everyone always craps on Sanji for not being able to fight girls and that, and being like, oh my god, Oda's ragging on Sanji, and oh, it's pathetic. But you gotta think, Sanji has always had this weakness, right? You can view it as, oh, this is so bad for Sanji, but it's not, because it's expected from him. It's characterization and it's consistent. It's a catalyst for other important people, like females that don't necessarily get the light of day in One Piece, to get shine, right? We haven't had badass Robin, right? Since forever. Like, really. She's been sort of put on the back pedal because, like, realistically, she's an absolute monster. She's, like, so underutilized in that. But that's because she was put on an emotional development roller coaster throughout the story, as opposed to just staying her reserved badass self. Alright. Forbidden Storeroom Skulldome. Sangora's voice was coming out of this mouse. I see, so that one was Luffy's friend. My father's army has a scouting unit called the Maris. This is one of their cyborgs. They usually wander aimlessly around the island. Everything they see is seen by their human counterparts. What? This means this place is probably... Hey, are you sure they're in this storeroom? Nobody's ever entered this cursed room. Whoa, there's so many of them. They must have seen us. This place isn't safe anymore. Let's get out of here, Yamato. We have to keep Momonosuke-sama out of sight. The Shogun is in here. Let's break the door down. Ready? Yamato, what you doing, fool? Sorry, Momonosuke, but you have to hide in my underclothes, huh? technically she's hiding. Technically, Momo's hiding in a man's clothes. Craig, huh? Let's go, Shinobu-san. They won't be able to see if we knock them out. I think you took me too literally. And she's just mangling them up. Let's go! The return of the Mammoth Boys. Castle interior, 3rd floor. Black Maria, whoa! I will finish off the samurai myself. Huff, huff. Even if they're at death's door, the Red Scabbards shouldn't be taken lightly. The Flying Six can't handle them. Yo, and they've reattached trunk. They've reattached Jack's trunk. Don't you dare lift a finger. Got it? You're severely underestimating me, Jack. Whoa, whoa, what is this? Oda, 1. Risky shot, 2. Black Maria might be the most badass girl in One Piece. She actually might be the most badass girl in One Piece. Yo, this is full Yakuza style. She's got the flaming... This is some, like, demon shit here. I love it. But I'll let it slide, since you're actually making things more convenient. Things worked out perfectly. Now, Nico Robin. Dangers of women. Tattooed on her back. From this moment onwards, you belong to Kaido-sama. No thanks, I'd rather die. The bold versus the fearless. Yo, this is actually such a fire chapter. No break next week. Chapter notes. Black Maria's weapon. The flaming wheel with a face is Wanyudo, a well-known demon in Japanese mythology. It is known in English as Fire Wheel or Soul Taker. The form of Wanyudo is a man's face trapped on a burning ox cart wheel. The law is its tormented spirit of tyrannical Daimyo who had his subjects executed by drawing them at the back of an ox cart. He now guards the gates of hell, wandering back and forth between worlds, scaring folks and stealing souls of those who get too close. Black Maria's tattoo. The word itself refers to disaster that falls upon a man when a woman likes him. In this context, it refers to how Black Maria captures and tortures the men she likes. Yo. Okay. That was a damn good chapter. I'm gonna jump over to the Discord now. Alrighty. Hello.
Hello.
How are you?
Yeah, I'm alright.
Alright, for anyone that's not aware, it's this is Daniel. Daniel, say hello.
Hello.
So, this was a freaking good chapter. Like, this is a pretty fire chapter. Like...
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I love the Robin showcase.
So, 1, I was fighting so hard this whole chapter going Robin best gal. Some of the best moments with Robin. I love it to death, right? And I'm a massive Robin stan. She's factually best gal in One Piece, alright? But, I'm not gonna lie, Black Maria's rising the ranks. She's a
Black
beast.
Maria.
She's a beast. Like, I know Robin just, like, dealt her, like, she's just slapped her out of here and just like, don't you touch Sanji. Don't you touch my things. But I mean, like, the way this chapter ended, she's got her shirt off, she's, like, got the Yakuza tattoo going, she's got the, the cursed pinwheel weapon of fire, like, she's like, gone full Yakuza. She's ready to absolutely slap.
Yeah, that's true.
Alright.
She is looking good.
Alright. I might go to the beginning of the chapter and we'll walk through it and have a talk through it and I'll ask some of your opinions on things. So, we'll go to the first page. First thing that I really want to point out and talk about is, the interesting thing is Black Maria spawns the spider webs out of her hands. That is a lot more useful than the alternative. And
yeah, definitely. I mean, that has like, that has Joker vibes to me.
Yeah. definitely it definitely also makes her seem a lot more useful than if she had to turn away to use webs, or if she could only use webs sort of while running away. You know what I mean? Like if
Yeah, right. Another good idea would be it's possible that she can turn on and off the stickiness because some spider webs are sticky and some aren't.
mm-hmm.
And so it's possible that she could literally use the webs as if she's using Dofi's power and haki them up and slash, or she could use them as like a net, like she's using them here.
I
So her power is like basically a better version of Dofi's power
I need
in that sense.
I need, whether it's someone helps me figure out where to send the postcard, or if someone just writes it for me on my behest. I need a cover page request of Doflamingo being taught how to make spider webs by Black Maria, or just like them swooning over each other's spiderweb craftsmanship. I feel like that would be
Yeah,
a
that would be good.
golden cover page. Um,
Yeah.
Also, something that I had thought of in the past, because we know that zones typically you transform like for like with the spider, right, or like for like with the animal.
hmm
It's very possible that the Black Maria torso is actually just made out of spider web, like the human looking part of it. That it's sort of like a spider web shell left on top of the spider, sort of like that's marionetted by the spider beneath. I
Right, and that she's just the spider itself.
Yeah, and so when she goes back into a human form, she just sort of crawls up into the spider web trap and it forms back to human. Whereas when she's in a spider form, that's why she's got two heads and two torsos.
Mm,
Um,
I could see that could be possible.
Very interesting. Which would also sort of make it more interesting why she put knuckle busters on to beat the crap out of Sanji instead of just punching or using haki, because she herself
Yeah.
might be sticky if she's spiderweb.
Okay.
So that
True.
that is a
Possible.
that is definitely a possibility there.
Yeah.
By the way, right? She just went full badass here, absolutely punching the living crap out of Sanji. Like she went full
As she's
Yakuza and just
smiling.
laid in. Ooh.
Yeah. She looks pretty funny. Like I love yeah, she's just smiling and just yeah, it's funny. And meanwhile, Sanji is just taking it. Like
Oh yeah, he's just doing Sanji things.
mm.
Alrighty. I'm just tweeting that we've finished the reaction and that we're live for the discussion.
Mhm.
Radio. So, one, she beats the living crap out of Sanji. Her fist is half the size of Sanji's body. She a big gal.
Yeah, she's big.
She is a huge girl.
I mean, she was like standing next to Kaido, wasn't she?
Yeah, she's a big gal. But weirdly enough, as big of a gal she is, she hasn't used any arm and haki here. You know?
Yeah, true. I
She's
mean, that's the thing. Like, she could be putting on the brass knuckles because she's sticky, or just because she doesn't have armament.
it's potential because, I mean, zone users with armament haki are a little broken in a way because zone users already have like ridiculous strength buffs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's always been really curious that we haven't seen too many of the Beast Pirates using haki too often. We've seen Page 1 and Ulti do it, so I'd assume Black Maria has it. She might have to use it later on, which, I mean, hey, if Robin has to fight an armament haki user, she might have to metamorphose into being able to unlock armament haki herself, or at least observation to dodge, which you know I'm always here for any sort of development like that with any member of the Straw Hats. I am 100% with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Right.
The next thing is sort of funny how all the girls start falling for Sanji, and it's the first time in the series that girls have started falling in love with Sanji. Only for Sanji to do exactly what they didn't want him to do, and they all immediately just like go back on hating him.
Yeah.
Now, this is sort of where we get to some weirdness here, right? So we get two of these page users with the eyes on their face, which
Hmm.
we find out later on they're linked with these animals. The animals are cyborgs that transmit directly to these people, right?
Yeah.
That is some broken technology. Where does that come from? Who in Kaido's crew is like? I know Queen's sort of a tinkerer, but this almost seems to be on them in a way. And the fact that it's not a devil fruit and that it's technology based is
Well,
very interesting.
so something that's like interesting to me is possibly they are. I mean, yeah, they may be cyborgs, but like the fact that they all have those eyes painted on them, that kind of tells me that there's a devil fruit involved. There's some kind of magic involved, right? Because like the animals themselves could be like cyborg animals. That way they can control them rather than like taming the animals.
Mm.
They just like turn the animal into a robot and make it run around the place. But I think the idea of like transmitting the visual or the audio or whatever um, is probably something to do with that mask itself. Because otherwise, what would the mask be doing, right? If anything, it would just be blocking. Let's say they have like the alternative is they have such good technology, they have like cameras transmitting signals, but then the paper on their face would be blocking the camera.
Mm.
So, assumedly,
Un-
it's some kind of magic or devil fruit that that eye on that paper is transmitting the
unless the
power, and then
paper,
the animals are.
unless the paper itself is sort of like a transmitter receiver thing, which would be good and bad because it would mean from an ally perspective, anyone could beat one of those people, pick it up, and then the intelligence network is flipped on, like it swaps sides.
Yeah, but I more mean like they wouldn't have that wouldn't be technology. That would be some kind of ninjutsu or devil fruit or
It
something.
it is weird because if it does come out that it's 100% technology, right? I would
Yeah.
probably lean more towards this being one of the things that Orochi got from CP, from Doflamingo, from the world government to trade for Sea Stone. Because we know
Hmm.
Sea Stone
Well, I
sort
mean,
of.
like, how would ink and paper be technology?
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
basically just like
it,
drawing
it
like
might be,
ninjutsu
for
symbols
all
on
we
paper,
know, it's
right?
like high tech circuitry that's paper thin. And it's just a symbol to sort of be represented. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I, for the longest, thought it was a devil fruit for sure. And I
I
was waiting to see whose
kind of
devil fruit it
hope
would
that
be.
isn't a thing because yeah, I kind of hope that it's not that level of thing because if they have that, then it's like, how do you guys still have like muskets as guns? You know, how do you have,
Hey,
how are pacifistas not like Ultron?
they
How aren't you just creating a bunch of Ultrons?
the pacifists aren't too far off it. I mean, they got lasers. For all we know, they're running around with damn lightsabers coming out of their hands at the moment, just cutting through anything.
No. Yeah, sure.
Then I think we have the most unnoticeable thing in the chapter. Apu is up, Apu is clean, and Apu is fighting Drake.
Yeah.
How is this man not done for yet? How durable is
I
this
think he's
man?
just meant to be a meme where he just keeps getting back up because he's been quote unquote one shot by how many people now,
Well,
and every time it happens, everyone's hyping him up. Everyone's hyping up whoever one shots him. People were hyping up Kid when he punched him, and then people were hyping up Zoro when he cut him. And
no, I'm going back on
at
that
this
now.
point,
I'm
it's
I'm
just
just like, dude, he's just durable. You're weak. You haven't took out Apu yet. The dude just it's a
yeah,
testament to how durable he is, yeah. But I mean, like, he had a no guard one shot from Kid. He had a no guard one shot from Zoro. He's had a no guard one shot from Drake, and the dude's just getting back up,
yeah.
just like, yo, I'm ready to keep on partying. All right, it is DJ o'clock, and he is
And like if you see here, he's taken out at least two people here. He's seemingly at least upsetting Drake with the sound.
Well, I mean, Drake's
Like
not
he's not
clocking his
just
ears, is
fighting
he?
back. Yeah. And he's looking down in such a way that he's like it's almost like he's in pain from the sound. It seems honestly like he's on the offensive here, or at least he's like running backwards and just like wrecking them all as they chase him
So
down. It doesn't even look like he's just running for his life
the
anymore. He's like, you know what, I'll just fight this.
the weird thing with this as well, right? And something that's sort of messed with me a touch, a tickle, is that just Old Man Hyo? Has he just buffed up again to the right of Drake?
Ooh.
Has he like pulled through again? Is he back in like prime shape or what? Because that looks like him, doesn't it?
I don't know.
From
It
behind,
does
that looks
look
like
kind of
him.
like him.
Like I feel like I need to go back and try to hunt down like what
Like a rear shot of him.
yeah, because maybe it's because we've just sort of not been drawing Hio for a while. But I mean, like
Yeah.
it. Maybe he got some of those dumplings or millets and that have been like laying around. Maybe he got some red bean soup and that, and he's bulked
Well,
up.
that's what I was gonna say. That's what I was gonna say. They are at like a massive banquet. Maybe next chapter or in a couple chapters, they're gonna show all the samurai are just eating food, and as soon as they eat the food, they all just get jacked out of nowhere because they were so malnourished before. You know how like Luffy can do that, and
Ooh.
like Brook can eat the milk or drink the milk, and then regrow his
Yo,
bones.
I
Like
didn't
they
even
all
think
just
about
start
that.
eating, and they all just get jacked out of nowhere.
Our
Yeah.
5,400 versus their 30,000. We took out 10%. They took out 7%, right? But that's while our dudes are all
Yeah.
malnutrition. Our dudes are on like 90% poison damage over the last 20 years. Imagine if
Yeah.
we start healing back up fierce
Yeah.
throughout this fight. That could. I didn't even think of that swaying the war. In all honesty, that's something to watch out for.
Yeah. That's pretty interesting.
Also, right, we've got a few clips here. We've got Chopper working on the medicine. He's still sort of sick, but he's recovering because of the Marco, and he's hunting down, a cure and that to be okay. We got Heat and Wire from Kids Crew just calling Sanji pathetic, and I made the point while I was doing my live reaction. Have we even seen them take on a gifter yet? Who are you calling pathetic? Oda hasn't even given you the decency. Like you've had like 3 panels this arc, and those 3 panels have been reaction shots, but you haven't even been shown beating fodder. It's like, how pathetic. That's a self-burn. You're not talking about Sanji here. You're just like, oh my god, how pathetic. He's getting beaten by a flying six, and we haven't even made it off the first floor.
Yeah.
Like,
True.
I
It's funny how they're just every time we see them, yeah, sure, they're fighting the whole time, but they're surrounded by just fodder, and like they're scuffed. Like look at Beppo's cheek;
mm-hmm.
he's been scuffed up, and he's fighting like at max gifters, at max,
I
and
mean,
probably not
I'm looking
because
at
didn't we
pleasures.
see like all of the gifters face down? Yeah, didn't we see all the gifters in this big face down, and Beppo and that one nowhere near them? So seemingly there was no gifters around them.
I mean, I'm always going to assume that they're doing the normal thing where it's like 5 out of 10, or 10 out of 20 people. If everyone's fighting 20 people, right? They're fighting they're fighting 10 regular people, 5 pleasurers, and 9 pleasurers and 1 gifter. You know what I mean? Along those sorts of lines.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's hard to gauge where Kid and Law's crew is, and if they're going to be useful and how useful, or if they're just going to be taking on some of the fodder on this like bottom level. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah, right.
like we still haven't seen all the numbers. Like, are we ever going to get a showcasing of these dudes being able to take down a number or something, even if it's in a tag team together? Because at the moment,
Probably not.
I'm seeing them scuffed up taking on fodder. Not even the
Yeah.
top tier fodder, so that's a bit of an L there for them. Still got to see Sulong Beppo.
Yeah, true.
And then we jump to one of the more curious parts. We've got Marco versus King and his flying corpse. So King seemingly has machine guns on his hands.
Yeah, so I was thinking the thing is that the actual guns themselves are hidden by like what would you consider to be the muzzle
shot?
flash. I'm thinking maybe that could actually be fire bullets coming off of the fire that's around him.
Look at the left bottom. See the guy there that's got the burning coming off him?
Yeah.
Seems like he's been shot by fire rounds, and King's just flying around. And he is King the Wildfire after all. He's just shooting fire blasts. Which, I mean...
Yeah.
It's both cool and useless. in a way.
Like, yeah, like it would make sense. Like, like Jack the Drought, his big unstoppable mammal runs through. Like Queen, you'd imagine would just gas everything with his like playgrounds and stuff. And then King would just fly over and just like
Burn everyone.
Gatling gun everything with fire. And that's like their kind of idea is that they're all just like natural terrors that they could just wipe out cities, but they're not necessarily like one-on-one combatants. At least they might be, but that's not like their
Forte.
shtick.
Well, realistically, they seem like they overwhelm with techniques, but not. And
Mm.
like Shanks's crew is like the technique heavy Haki specialists. These guys are sort of just like the man. We're strong, but we're not that strong. So what can we do to overwhelm? Well, we're
Yeah.
gonna overwhelm with numbers. We're gonna cut off supplies. We're gonna poison these people. While we've poisoned them, maybe like we know that Caesar's got flammable gas. Maybe they've bought flammable gas like bombs off Caesar in the past. King's just dropping bombs and blowing stuff up and spreading fire around. Like, if it wasn't their home base, you got to think the damage would be a lot worse because they'd be using a hell of a lot more sort of messed up weapons here.
Oh yeah. I mean, they would like annihilate the entire island, of course, yeah.
Like, I would. It's always been something that I wanted to do as a video series where we sit down and have a talk about how Marineford would have went if you swap it out with other Yonko crew, and how the Marines themselves would have to strategize to accommodate for
Yeah.
each Yonko crew. Because, like, I mean, these dudes be sort of filthy. We cut over then to Jinbei versus Who's Who as well. And so Jinbei's using Haki, Jinbei's scrunched up, and he's blocking against Who's Who. Who's Who looks pretty clean, but then again, Jinbei seemingly took on all of Who's crew and Who's Who. So he's definitely copped a bit
Yeah.
more damage than last time, but he's still like, he's fine. Realistically, he's fine.
Yeah. I mean, he has a bit of sweat and a bit of a scuff mark on his cheek. Like, it seems like he's getting overwhelmed, but then again, like, he's against speed. Like, he's against a bunch of people that are just jumping around attacking him, so you just would be. Doesn't really indicate, like, he's going to lose necessarily. Plus, he is against, like, probably the strongest of the Flying Six. And also, while he's fighting him, he's thinking, right? He looks like he's got a bit of a, He's got a bit of a thought going on.
He's listening to
so,
yeah. So
yeah.
And then we got Who's Who. Who's a little not Who's Who. I mean Sasaki's a bit scrunched up here. Frankie's looking clean as always, right? Frankie might have that fight in the bag, low key.
Yeah, it seems.
Marco surprisingly
Frankie has
scuffed up,
seemed
though.
like he's been dominating. Like, to be honest, like Frankie has been shown really good recently. He's almost been shown at the level where it's like him and Jinbei.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I
him
mean,
and Jinbei are kind of like neck. Obviously, Jinbei's more experienced, older. Frankie's got more room to grow, but it's seemingly like those two are the pair.
I mean, breaking
Which is
Frankie
kind of
down, right?
crazy.
Pre-time skip, pacifistas were pretty broken. Post-time skip, Frankie's as strong as a pacifista, but then he's also got the added effect that Shogun Frankie is also made out of Wapple metal, and from memory, that's also the stuff that Whitebeard couldn't quake through. You know what I mean? General Frankie is as big as Big Mum, right? So you got to think he's as tall as a Yonko. He's got the durability that a Yonko couldn't immediately one-shot pre-time skip, right? And I'm not saying, I'm not on some weird agenda here to be like Frankie's Yonko level, but like out of the Straw Hats, he's had the most significant buffs, especially when he's powered up, right?
I mean, like if he imagine him having like a Gatling gun, while he's in that General Frankie mode, he's essentially Big Father, but instead of firing bullets, he's firing Kizaru lasers.
Sorry, I have a question for you about Big Father. I've got to come around to that later. That might start an argument or a debate in some capacities. Hopefully not. So Marco scuffed up a bit after getting shot at with the fire. I dare say it's probably not the fire, as opposed to still residual damage from when like Big Mom was choke slamming him. Not that he couldn't heal back from it, just that he's sort of, one moment he's clean, one moment he's not. You know what I mean? It just sort of shows.
Yeah, right.
I would be more inclined to believe that Marco's damaged from Big Mom than I am that he's damaged from King.
Yeah, yeah, I'd agree.
Then sort of cutting through again, we've got, I'm assuming what's Robin's leg. Got Black Maria talking some absolute smack. And then Robin just slapping the ever-loving crap out of Black Maria. Just one of those pimp slaps. Get out of here. You're not welcome. Mum is home.
Yeah. And mind you, like, this slap looks like it does a lot of damage. Like, further on, she's, like, not having fun. Like, she's not happy about it. Later on, when you see Sanji running away, she's, like, still kind of on the ground on her hands, like, with blood coming out of her mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that was a hard slap. That, like, knocked a tooth out or something.
It was off guard. It hit her clean. And it wasn't just, like, a cheek slap. Yeah. It was just, like... It was, like, some UFC, just, like, someone that doesn't know how to fight just coming in and just doing, like, an ear slap. Just pelting.
Yeah, and... Mind you as well, she did her like mille fleurs or whatever, which is the giant sized one. So that wasn't like it's because Black Maria is so big that it doesn't look it, but that is like a giant arm. That is pretty much like one of the biggest attacks Robin has that we've seen at least.
Not as bad as it's like getting slapped by Big Mom point blank. You know what I mean? It's just like ow.
Yeah, without hockey at least.
Yeah, it's like ow, that hurts. Which sorry, got to mention that as well because we didn't. We have Sanji earlier. When he's going to get hit saying, wait, my arm and haki won't work because he refuses to defend against women. That's interesting that every time we see Sanji get damaged, that means there's no form of haki being used to try and mitigate any damage he receives. You know what I mean?
From her previously.
Yeah, or just from anyone in the story. Anytime we've seen a woman hurt Sanji, that sort of confirms that he's never... like defended in any way, shape, or form. He just lets it happen.
Well, I mean, I remember us having a conversation about whether or not Sanji even has armament haki, and this essentially confirms that he does.
Well, yeah, because we've never seen the black hardening. In the anime, they showed it. In the manga, never directly seen it in a clear way.
It's hard because his pant leg is black and his foot is black. So how do you draw it?
Yeah. So then we have Brook coming in honestly what looks like Law's Punk Hazard outfit, looking fly AF. Brook has the drip. Brook is coming in clean here. Right, freeze Sanji with his
so much.
Brook. I love Brook because Brook is like the most clutch Straw Hat. Like in terms of utility, he's always where he needs to be when he needs to be there.
Exactly. And he just like runs around like a madman and just like fixes everyone's problems. Like someone will be about to die and he just runs past and saves them and keeps going and just goes save someone else.
Yeah, well, it's just what he does. Brooke's got that love about him, you know what I mean? He's there for everybody, right?
He's such a Jew.
Then we have what I think might be one of my favorite panels of Robin here, where she's sort of got the dimmed out face and she looks like she's about to absolutely lay hands on Black Maria. She looks like she's about to spawn two hands and do the neck snap on the giant scale. She's about to
Oh.
You go.
Mind you, something interesting that I noticed earlier, they made a point of saying that they had boarded up all the doors and the floors and everything, and that she couldn't get in without getting trapped. And then she just appeared in the building, and she said, "My body can bloom from anywhere."
Yeah.
Does that imply she can just teleport?
So I actually had that moment where I was like, "Oh, well, she can make clones, so maybe this is one of her clones." And then I went, "Well, that actually doesn't fit the description, does it? Of her saying she can go anywhere. So maybe she can swap with her clones. Maybe anywhere in eyesight she can now spawn."
Well, I mean, yeah, like the idea is if she can grow a hand or an eye or whatever, she's done pretty much every body part. What if she can just literally like ungrow and regrow herself somewhere else?
And the interesting thing with that is she can spawn eyes anywhere she can see. For every eye she spawns, she increases the range that she can see.
Yeah. So I like saying this, and I'll say it again. Her potential is like busted compared to any other Straw Hat.
Robin,
she probably has the most potential.
Robin, top gal, alright. She does be coming in clutch a hell of a lot of the time. She is like one of the most useful people. All right, not just is she useful either, right? But she's super underutilized. Frankie, Brooke, and Robin, the old Straw Hat trio, right? They never got the light of
Mm-hmm.
day pre-time skip, realistically, because they sort of came in just before we split the gang up, and then after that, everyone needed to be showcased again.
Yeah.
The new world is sort of the first time we're being able to showcase them, and more specifically, everyone's been sort of delayed and dragged on for this arc because this is sort of the conclusion of the new world saga, realistically, right? Before we
Yeah.
move into the conclusion of the series. So some of these older Straw Hats, like we had Whole Cake Island, Brook fought a Yonko, man. He may have lost, but dude's got bones of steel. Frankie slapping up, driving on, and just folding Yonko. All right. Robin bowled a Yonko out of the damn dinner hall. These Straw Hats, they're kind of arrogant in a good way, and I'm all here for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. The thing is, like, it's easy to forget when you're just thinking about the combatants, but like, although people like Robin and stuff like that might not be god tier fighters, they are like genuinely best in the world at what they are at. Like Nami is like seemingly the most like the literally the greatest navigator out of everyone in the world that we've seen, right? Robin is probably the best archaeologist, one of, if not the only people that can actually read the poneglyphs without some
I
kind
mean,
of magical voice of all things. Like,
did you
these people are
see?
like incredible.
Did
Like,
you read
Frankie
the?
has literally made staircases mid-air just for a meme
Did you
in like 2 seconds with a hammer.
did you read the Frankie? Sorry. Did you read the Sanji cooking manga, the volume 2 of it?
No, I haven't.
So it's set sort of after we get the five core straw hats in East Blue, seemingly before they go over the
Yeah,
Grand Line, right?
yeah,
Sanji uses Wado Ichimonji to cook, and he is like a top tier swordsman, being able to like within millimeters, even less than millimeters, be able to accurately cut like a 2 meter long fish. So like he doesn't
yeah,
like
right.
release their poison or blow the fish up and that. Dude's
Yeah.
dude's got some skills. Dude's got some useful stuff. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Um. Alrighty. So again, such a beautiful panel of Robin there looking like an absolute beast and an absolute snack. Sanji running away swooning, and he just flops over face over first. Right. Robin, I'm here for it. You've made my day. Thanks for counting on me. You got to think how many people rag on Sanji being like, "Oh my god, I'm sick of the woman gag." All right, I'm sick of Sanji being made a fool. We see it all the time. Sanji's trash. How can
Hmm.
how can Otis disrespect Sanji like this? But you got to remember, this has always been part of Sanji, and I don't think it's Sanji disrespect because you got to think he's now nerfed, and he's gonna go win a fight against someone that everyone thinks is stronger than him, and he's gonna do it
Yeah.
faster than anyone else. We see this
Yeah, I was about
countless
to
time.
say he's about to go show off. Like
We,
he's taken this loss and he's about to go come up against someone that we never
d-
thought he'd ever be able to beat,
we're
and he's
about
just going to
we're
destroy
about to
them.
see him either go fold Jack or go fold Queen, right?
Yeah.
And it's gonna be a quick fight, like in typical Sanji fashion, a chapter or 2 chapters, it's done. Right, and you
Yeah.
gotta think how big of a gap that realistically would be, especially when without defending himself, he's had someone that's able to make Jinbei sweat, essentially, just ragging on him for the last 10-20 minutes. Right?
Hmm.
So there is some respect to be had there. On the flip side, there is even more respect to be had for you got to think Sanji in Whole Cake Island couldn't rely on his crew. He didn't feel like his crew was well enough to take care of him, so he surrendered himself to the Big Mum Pirates and to his family, right?
Hmm.
Now, when everyone thinks that Sanji wouldn't have spilled the beans and begged Robin to help, he's done what no one thought he would, and he's resigned himself and his fate solely to his teammates. That's some massive character development.
Yeah.
Like going from limited trust to being proven wrong to having absolute unwavering trust.
Mm-hmm.
And especially when Robin was the person that was in his situation pre-time skip, coming in to being the one that's like, well, thank you for being able to rely on me now. Like I used to rely on you. So there is a hell of a lot there's a hell of a lot interpersonal connections going on here that it's just sort of like really subtly at play. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm good to see the development, and I'm good to see the consistency that like we're at a stage now where Straw Hats aren't afraid to just actually like grow. You know what I mean? Like, I mean,
Yeah,
you got to think
right.
about it. This is the arc where Luffy's got muscles and abs, when the entire series he was like the skinniest kid imaginable. So this is the arc where Oda's like, this is where stuff sort of starts to change.
Yeah, right.
Then we get the whole these are my father's army. They're a scouting unit called the Maoris. This is one of their cyborgs. They usually wander aimlessly around the island. Everything they see is seen by their human counterparts. That's sort of just, again, we don't know if it's just because they're cyborgs or because they're a cyborg that just auto aims and just auto walks around, and that it's also a devil fruit, right? We've already sort of touched on that, though. I can't really think of anything else to say on it, in all honesty. Like, I don't have any developing thoughts on it. It's just sort of wait and see to know how it plays out, you know what I mean?
Yeah, right, exactly.
Next, we've got... Again, something about Oda this chapter. He's just loving drawing boobs. We've got Yamato throwing Momo in her top, or in his top, right? And so the funny thing about this is this good for Momo or is this bad for Momo in his perspective, right? Because we know Momo's a little perverted freak, right? But
Yeah.
if Yamato starts coming around and introducing herself as I'm a man, is Momo gonna start freaking out in her top?
Well, like, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like Yamato thinks of herself as a woman, but thinks of herself as Odin.
Yeah. No,
Like, you get what I mean?
it's
I don't
not.
necessarily know if
It's
she's trans.
Yeah, no. She's. I don't think she's in the slightest. I think and I think a lot of people misidentified that in the past, where it's just she wanted to be Odin so much that Odin just happened to be a man, so she just wanted to act more masculine, because that's what
Yeah.
Odin was, and because she says she's Odin, and Odin's a guy,
Yeah.
she related to herself as a guy, as opposed to people that actually have like issue or crisis with their own identity and have like this sort of struggle.
Yeah,
She's the kind of character that doesn't have the struggle to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. She doesn't have like that gender struggle. She's just like, no, I'm this person specifically. Yeah. It's interesting. It's really like weird way to, and obviously like, Oda's not gonna write out a big fucking thing on like Yamato's like perspective towards transitions.
I mean, realistically, we have the whole Okama, and like Oda has shown that he's not afraid to talk about it in the past. I just feel like in the current climate, he's already established that, so he doesn't need to delve into it further. Because we had the whole level 5.5 and Impel Down stuff, where he sort of addressed those people and went over those sort of viewpoints. Then,
right.
Cutting through, we have the return of the Mammoth Boy. We have Jack the Damn Drought making a triumphant return, looking beat to hell.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Jack's gonna fight Yamato. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
I
think that's pretty fair to say.
I feel like Yamato is gonna go running to try and save the Scabbards with Momo, and Jack's gonna get there, and a nerf Jack's gonna be fought by a pretty prime Yamato. And it'll be interesting. I like how they've had to...
One thing that I noticed as well, if you look at his right tusk, so on the left of the panel, it looks like it's literally been stuck back on.
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
So
I love how they did that after the Scabbards cut it off. They cut him clean out. And, I mean, he's bandaged up. Dude's hurt.
Yeah. Like to the point where I reckon, let's say they just completely win this whole fight, Jack is permanently injured from this fight.
Oh, yeah. Not
Yeah.
just permanently injured. He's permanently injured by Nekomamushi, Inarashi, and Raizo. Like,
Yeah.
oof. Didn't even get done in by the leader of the Scabbards. Got done in by the subs. Um,
Also, by the way, one thing that's really interesting um, is that Jack has experienced the power of the Scabbards. He's also experienced the power of the Flying Six, and he's genuinely proclaiming the Flying Six can't handle them.
mm-hmm.
And even if they're at death's door. So basically, the Scabbards are greater than in strength than the Flying Six, which
Mm-hmm.
is either a massive like boost to the Scabbards or a really hard hit for the Flying Six.
I would say it's a few mixes. One, it's Jack downplaying the Flying Six a little bit because you know the relationship between Jack and Queen and the Flying Six is they just don't get along, and we've seen that sort of
Yeah.
we've seen that sort of connection. But that being said, right, we had Nekomamushi and Inarashi in Sulong form one shot Jack. Can a Flying
Yeah.
Six one shot Jack? I mean, realistically,
Yeah, exactly.
he's not wrong here, right? When they're at their full strength,
I mean,
especially
yeah.
which is when they're working together. Like even if they're all injured, if they all stand back up and are side by side, Flying Six are going to be in for a rough fight.
Yeah.
It's like
That's the thing. Like, I honestly think that, I mean, it's similar to how, like, we've seen in the past that a Yonko is just so much above a commander, like first, second, or third commander. Yonko is just so much above that next tier down. Whereas in Kaido's crew, the next tier down from Jack is the Flying Six. And so seemingly he is also just like a lot ahead of them. And like, it's kind of hard because previously they've said that like, oh, they want to get an opportunity to fight Queen so they can beat him and become one of the All Stars. But like, it's seeming like they're just a little bit too far away. Like, sure, they're aggressive, but I mean, they've been beaten in the past, right?
yeah,
And when they've been beaten, they've probably had their entire, because they were past captains, they've probably had their entire crew with them. And I doubt they've fought two of the All Stars, you know? They've probably just fought one of the All Stars or maybe one of the other Flying Six members and gotten crushed. So like, seemingly Jack would solo the Flying Six member and their entire crew.
yeah.
You know, so yeah, they seem like considerably
Which,
above.
except for maybe Who's Who, considering Who's Who at the moment's giving Jimbei a hard time, and Jimbei
Yeah.
fought Ace pretty damn equally. That's
Yeah.
the only, and I mean, Who's got different portrayal to the rest of these Flying Six, like definitively. The only one that was even slightly compared to him was Sasaki, but I don't think for a second anyone even thought Sasaki was over Who's Who.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you what, it is interesting. You know what I mean? And it's like who's probably sitting at that fourth commander level, which is fair enough because that's the sort of position he's entailing. That said,
Yeah. I think, yeah, definitely.
Black Maria's back tattoo, the flaming pinwheel weapon, right? She is like a sadist, man. She's gone full Yakuza. She's about to throw hands, and I love how Robin and Brooke are there, and I love how Brooke's blushing, just like, woohoo, topless, ha ha ha. Robin's just there, just like, alright, I'm a smack a bitch. I'm a slap her up. I'm a beat her down. You know, I'll ragdoll her. It is what it is. Like, and I mean, you gotta think, Black Maria's an arachnid, man. They've got exoskeletons. If Robin starts spawning some giant limbs and does the back crack to her, if she breaks some of them spider bones, that spider might be out for good.
Yeah,
that
is true.
might be a lot more painful than Black Maria's thinking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that pretty much covers the chapter. Did you have any major thoughts or anything you wanted to talk about with the chapter specifically for the moment?
Yeah, one thing that we went over, with Marco, it honestly seems like similar to like Ben Beckman against Kizaru, it seems like he's just messing around.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he dumps on the ground and he goes, haha, what a lovely bunch. Like, he's just listening to
he's playing the
Sanji
field.
yelling, and and it like seemingly he's come into this with a mindset of like, I'll come in and help, but like, I'm not going to carry Luffy in this battle. Like they've got to win on their own. I'm just going to come along and like help out a little bit. It doesn't seem like he's actually actively trying his best to have the greatest impact he can. It seems like he wants them to kind of earn their place as like the new Yonko or
which is
whatever.
fair.
But he's just kind of there to be like, well, you know, it's my kind of oath or whatever. It's my honor. I've got to support you. But like he doesn't seem to be trying that hard against King,
I mean,
considering he like grabbed King and Queen right next to each other, and
uh,
now he's just fighting King, and he's just like casually using his wings to block his attacks,
you
and then
you might call
yeah,
me an Admiral Stan, hard, right?
mm,
But Marco versus the Admirals, right? The Admirals dominated Marco, but Marco was serious. Like 90% of that time, he was serious. He was on guard. He was like, "All right, this is a fight, man. Let's go this." Marco versus
mhm.
King here and Queen. Marco's just like, "Man, what are you? What are you? You like a bird? You a big bird like
Yeah,
me? You a long neck fella? Whoo, damn! I'm a crack your heads together. You know what I mean?" He's just he's
yeah.
goofing off.
He does not seem like he cares that much. Yeah.
Not only does he not seem like he cares that much, it kind of downplays the Beast Pirates' top dogs a bit. You know what I mean?
I mean, the thing is though, is like Marco is on the level that could be considered at least a low rate Yonko. So
Mm?
Marco's pretty next level. Like
Well,
yeah, if he was struggling against King, I'd be kind of disappointed.
I mean, they're supposed to be each other's rivals, like contemporarily speaking. But I mean, even then, it's like, because if we look at track records, like, and this is something I wanted to talk to you about in the past, where it's like the Yonko have been so damn stagnant that they don't go out and do anything. The Big Mum amassed an entire territory around one island that she went back to that she used to have, that she was. Totland is the island where the Lamb's house was, right? So that means
Yeah,
after she joined the Rocks, she went back to that island and she just grew from there and she never really left. She just built up a reputation around that land. We know
yeah,
Kaido took over Wano 20 years ago and he might leave from time to time, but he doesn't really do anything. He just sort of accumulates more people at Wano. He leaves now and then to kill himself, to try and kill himself, or to try and capture people his subordinates can't. That's sort of it. You know what I mean?
yeah.
And I
Right.
mean, like, even then, the only subordinates that he's really got are like the Flying Six. The most active Yonko, right, would have been Whitebeard. He had 43 allied captainships, right? And we saw that they were all either former members of his crew or people that he beat and that they joined his crew out of respect, right?
Yeah,
Whitebeard had a
yeah,
huge crew. He was the only one that was seemingly active. Shanks's crew, right? And Shanks, we know that they're the hardest Yonko to get in touch with. Probably because not only are they just one ship, but they don't care. They're just sort of. They're not causing fuss. You know what I mean? They're dangerous if you come across them, but they're not causing fuss. So it's like,
yeah.
thinking of that, right? As much as I love Katakuri, as much as I love Cracker, who have they fought? Who have they gone up against? Who? I know they're Yonko commanders, but like, who have you thrown hands with? I feel like the weak
Luffy lost.
subordinates. I feel like the weak subordinates, like the fodder of the Yonko crews, fight pretty regularly with each other's crews. The top tiers, I don't even know if
Mhm.
they've seen each other because when Marco grabbed King and Queen, they were like, "Oh my
Yeah,
god, what's his ability? He's not dying." And it's like, "Wow, okay, you obviously have never met." But this is Marco,
mm,
the dude that as an apprentice was fighting the Roger pirates and stuff like that. Like, we don't know who was fighting there, but like,
yeah. I've always thought about it this way: is like the idea is if you're gonna have really really powerful people that almost have no equal, then you have to have people that they have fought in the past and have died to them, like that they've beaten and killed. That just kind of existed, you know, in terms of like world building. Like if you're gonna have someone like Mihawk, who's the world's greatest swordsman, you have to have people like Vista, who is like a challenger but not quite
not quite there.
strong. Yeah, and so and in order to like have them tested, which is a big reason why I think I've said in the past that like I think if Luffy is capable of like fighting that person and like doing damage to them and not getting one shot, he's generally going to win. And it's purely just because every single time he's consistently fought people that are a little bit stronger than him, and he's experienced pushing himself to the limit so much more. Whereas someone like Big Mom has barely even experienced pain, let alone fighting someone on her level. So like people like Big Mom, as soon as you get even close to as strong as them, you're just gonna beat them because you have like, even though she's technically older than you and have probably fought more battles than you in your lifetime, they haven't been recent, and so you're like they're kind of rusty, and you're like top of your game, peak form. Um, it's like it's pretty crazy that way where in terms of like a world building perspective, you have to have rivals for these characters. And I feel like the commanders, like you were saying, like they don't really like none of even like the top tier rookies that come through into the new world, none of them are as good. The people that have been strong enough to be recruited into Kaido's team, i.e., the Flying Six, aren't as good. Like they seemingly don't have any opponents other than the other commanders of the under the Onko crew, and obviously then they aren't fighting because if they're fighting, then the commanders would be constantly dying, right?
Yeah,
Like
they'd be
if
losing
if
or on the
if
back
Kaido
foot
was
way too
constantly
much.
fighting, yeah, if Kaido was constantly fighting Big Mom, one of like their commanders would constantly be dying and getting replaced and dying and getting replaced, and they would just be weaker in general because all of the talents would be getting killed. So yeah, it's interesting how that like works in terms of like the power dynamics. Is that like in a world where everyone does have like constant combat, the strong don't necessarily like stay
And
that
see,
way. As long as
but
you have an equal, you're gonna get killed
but
eventually.
this is the problem with me now, where like I'm starting to I'm starting to get stuck in an echo chamber with myself, where the more I'm watching the One Piece world and the more I'm evaluating it and looking at it, right, the more I'm going like the Marines and the world government severely underrated and so much stronger than anyone ever gives them credit for, because these pirates are so stagnant that they just rookie crush, right?
Hmm.
Whereas the Marines, we even know that the top tier Marines are sent out on sort of mediocre missions. Like,
Yeah, right. And they don't just have pirates as well. They have like general criminals and bandits and underworld people like, like Joker and like all the underworld people to deal with, and like, bounty
and the
hunters that go rogue,
revolutionaries,
and yeah,
so like,
other navy members that go rogue, and
I mean, wheeling this
yeah.
back in for a second, you got to think about it. Who beat Ivankov to take Ivankov to Impel Down? Even if it was a ploy by the revolutionaries, someone did that. Someone
Yeah,
found out
exactly.
where
She had
Ivankov
to at
was.
least show up. She had to at least show up against an opponent who was strong enough to like arguably be able to beat her
Hmm. Not
in order
only
to like
that,
make it seem she
half of
can't just like go up to Kobe and be like, "Hey, capture me."
the same with half of Blackbeard's crew. Like the hype
Yeah,
effect that we gave them, where they're like, "Oh my god, they're level 6." That's Jinbei and Ace. I mean, that
yeah,
means someone of that level went, "I'll take them. I'll throw them in."
yeah, exactly. And the other thing as well is that like, they were in like prisons that had what like 10, 20 people in them,
Hmm.
right? And how many people joined his crew? Like six,
The
seven. Like
best, the best
there
from
was a
each
lot of
individual
people.
group.
Yeah, but the thing is that there was a lot of level 6 prisoners
Hmm.
in that. It wasn't just like I am like, I'm one of the 5 strongest prisoners that they've ever captured and thrown into thing. It's like no, I'm one of like 60 people that they've captured and thrown into level
I just happen to
6.
be the strongest of my batch. It's like
Yeah,
if
exactly.
you looked at
And it's not even necessary. You could just luck out, honestly.
yeah, that's what I was about to say. If you look at the Dressrosa Coliseum, right? Like you've got
Mm,
slot A, slot B, slot C, right? You had Jesus Burgess fight no one that we knew named. So we didn't see Burgess fighting
yeah,
like Don Chinjiao or Sabo before the fruit and stuff like that. So like some of Blackbeard's crew might be just like the strongest of like absolute fodder level 6 for all we know.
yeah.
Whereas, like for all we know, Katarina Devon beat 3 people her equal level to get in that crew. It's weird. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
So
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, like people like, yeah, some of like the lower level people could literally just be like very manipulative, and just like they're just smart and they just know like I'm gonna hang back. That guy's gonna kill everybody, then I'll kill him when he's weak. Like
hmm
they
I mean,
just know stuff like that.
like I said, like the more I'm seeing the One Piece world, the more I'm sort of giving Marines more props in that. Just like just thinking about the commanders themselves, right? I think Whitebeard's
Hmm.
commanders were objectively the strongest, with the only other crew that you could rival them realistically for the top is Shanks's crew.
Hmm.
Um, the problem is with that, right? Shanks's crew, you've got, Ben Beckman, Lucky Roo, Yasop. Some top tier dudes, right? And I sort of
Yeah.
conceded my argument where I think Yasop's a lot stronger than I was giving him credit for when we did the top 50 stream. Now that you've
Hmm.
made some more points that were a bit more clearer to me, um,
Yeah.
I need to reevaluate him a little because like we get I can't remember if it was the Ace novel or the Ace manga that I've been covering, right? Or it
Mm.
might have been something else. It might have been the SBS or Magazine 11. They talk about how Izo was a swordsman when he joined the Whitebeard Pirates, but Vista talked him into being a pistol user because of how good he was with pistols, right?
Yeah.
And
That
then
was the SBS. Yeah.
and then you got to think to yourself, right? They gave they gave um, Izo the reputation of a 10 out of 10 shooter, as in he hits 100 out of 100 targets, never misses with his pistols.
Yeah.
But he's a pistol user. We take that further, right? We've got like Van Orga, who missed a bird's vital shot past the horizon. He can shoot past eye level. You know what I mean? The Straw Hats
Hmm.
couldn't even see an island, so that means the island was below the horizon, right?
Hmm.
Maybe the birds were just on horizon level, and Van Orga's taking them out and missing by like a mil over that distance. Whereas you
Hmm.
got Yasop, who's hitting an ant between the antenna across the side of an island.
Hmm.
Like, there's some like ridiculous stuff there, man. Right? But like we've got Marco, Mythical Zone as a first commander, Ace, Alogia as a second commander, Jozu, Diamond as a third commander, right? I think out of all the third commanders, even though I just talked up Yasop there, like I'm giving it to
Hmm.
Jozu or Cracker really, in terms of third commander, because it's like Jack Mammoth dude's tank, right? But like Cracker's just like
Hmm.
sort of like a broken unit. But like even then, that's such a flip of a coin whether or not you give him enough credit to be able to do something like that.
Yeah.
Because
Hang on. I've actually got a question about the Shanks crew.
shoot,
Do you think anyone? Do you think anyone other than Shanks has future sight on their crew?
I don't even know if Shanks has future sight or if he's mastered another form of Haki. I feel like
Mm.
you can be a master of Haki, and this is a video that I want to make in the future where I want to actually simplify and go through all the types of armament and observation Haki. But you can be a master of Haki and not have a technique that's involved in Haki. Okay? For
Yeah.
example, I shouldn't even say necessarily a technique. There are skills that are outside of techniques, if that makes sense. Like,
So I get what you mean in that like you can have mastered your version of hockey and someone else can have like a different
you
version.
you can master
Um.
techniques of Haki, but there might be things that you can never unlock, like the voice of all things or Conqueror's Haki. You know what I mean? So, say
Yeah.
Future Sight falls in line with you need to have been born with a mindset. It's not something that you can be taught. You need to actually like it's the
Hmm.
way you perceive the world, how you like sort of how you take in your information, right? Because we know Rayleigh is a master of Haki, and the exact words used for him is a master of all three types of Haki, which is the same terminology they use whenever they describe Shanks. But we know Rayleigh doesn't have future sight, but he's got like this area of
Yeah.
effect Haki where he can sense everyone on an island and how strong every individual on the island is and where they are at any given moment.
Yeah.
Like, it's comparable to future sight depending on how well you use it, but it's not
Hmm.
that specific technique. Like, you've got the Marigold sisters, and you've got forgetting his name, Palm Dude, not shooting Maru, um, you know the guy from Sabbaty, uh, the dude with, yeah. Anyway, the Marigold sisters, so the Bowl sisters and
Mhm.
him have Rio, but they don't have like, you know, Yonko hurting Rio. Because there's a difference there as well, where you
Yeah,
can
yeah,
learn
yeah.
a technique, but you might not necessarily be gifted with such an emotionally powerful willpower or haki that you just can't do that sort of damage long term and consistently to people.
Yeah, or I mean, I guess like for example, there was that guy in Skypiea, who could sense like everyone around him and everyone that's dying and stuff, etc. Right? That person isn't necessarily going to be a top tier combatant just because of that.
Yep.
They just have a unique ability. The old lady in Fishman Island who was like an oracle,
She can
she
see the
isn't
future.
necessarily going to be a god tier
That's
fighter,
that's
but she
future
can see the
sight,
future.
but it's like very unique circumstances for the future sight to
Yeah,
activate
and
and
like
how it to
something
displace.
like that, you won't expect that Shanks has that.
Yeah.
Like you won't be like, oh yeah, you're a hockey master. Okay, here's a crystal ball. Tell me the future. He'll be like,
And so
what?
and so that's where I think that the word Haki Master means you've learnt all learnable techniques,
Mm,
right? But there's a difference between the learnable techniques and things you've got to be gifted with, like inherently.
I could see that. Yeah.
Because like
Oh, I mean, I think generally it's like potentially there's like a core kind of faculty of hockey that everyone who can learn hockey is able to learn. And obviously, like to an extent, there's an extent to your willpower, and if you don't have the willpower, then you can never be a hockey master. But I think there's like probably individual skills that are like more ingrained in a single person. Because like you know how they say like technically everyone can learn hockey, but like if you're not like gifted with it, you can spend like decades and
yeah,
decades and decades and you'll never learn it. So like yeah, the
it,
idea would be like Shanks basically has what everyone can learn. He has that completely mastered, but he doesn't necessarily have special unique
and
techniques that other people
he doesn't
randomly have.
necessarily need to be as threatening and competent as he is. Because, like I've said in the past, he could very well be the weakest Yonko or the strongest Yonko, depending on how you're going to flip it. I say he's probably the weakest
Yeah.
Yonko, but he's got the Yonko with the most potential, and his crew are closer to him than the other Yonkos' crews are closer to their Yonko, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
Like, we know the weakest member of Shanks's crew, the rookie that Shanks picked up, had a bounty of 94 mil pre-time skip.
Yeah.
And that might not sound much, right? But if every member of your crew is sort of like supernova level or above, that's sort of like pretty broken.
Yeah.
That's like having a crew
Well,
that's
okay.
just the warlords.
Here's something though, like saying Shanks has the greatest potential. You could argue that getting a fruit like the Yonko or getting a fruit like the Admirals would be so insanely ridiculously rare that no matter how powerful you are, it's just like kind of not going to happen.
Mm.
You get what I mean? Like potentially Shanks doesn't have the most potential because sure, all he has to do is like eat a broken fruit and he'll become ridiculous. But would finding and eating a broken fruit be as easy as like the Yonko spending years and years and years training Haki to get closer to his strength? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like the potential for the Yonko would be you could just train and get really good at Haki, and it's like a definite. It takes a lot longer, but it's a definite thing.
especially with their
Whereas for
willpower.
Shanks, it's almost like an RNG, where it's like you got to get lucky enough to find an insane fruit. Or I guess maybe you could just know someone who isn't very strong but has an insane fruit and go kill them.
Or you could just like target an insanely strong person and jump them with your insanely strong crew. That's what Blackbeard's
Yeah.
potentially been doing, going around hunting devil
Yeah,
fruits.
I mean,
Which
I guess Shanks could just go to like, go kill Magellan. That's a sure thing.
I mean, is it?
Shanks killing, yeah, Shanks and his whole crew.
Shanks and his
Yes,
whole
or
crew
just
breaking
sniping
into
from a
Impel
distance.
Down. Yeah, well, I mean, they've got to go underground to take out Magellan, don't they? By the time they go underground, they might be able to one-shot kill Magellan, but can they, outside of Shanks, could they all necessarily not be one-shot by the poison?
Mhm.
Would, unless you've got full body Rio as it like a Gandalf aura shield, like you shall not pass. Unless you got something like that, Magellan
Yeah,
one shots everyone in the series, even if you beat him, which is
I
broken.
mean, like, it's possible, but the thing is that like it's possible that after you reach a certain degree of armament, not just Rio, but just armament, you can just like will things to not be able to enter your body. You know what I mean? Like you just will the poison to not be able
I feel
to
like Shanks would
penetrate your
100%
skin.
dominate Magellan, right? And I don't think
I could
Shanks
see
would get
someone like
poisoned.
Ben or Lucky Roo doing it,
But
and then I could see Yasop just like shooting a bullet from outside the prison and just like bounces off the walls until it eventually hits Magellan inside.
I mean, I would say yes, but at the same time, you got to think Magellan was taking out people like Ivankov. He was put there being with so much confidence that he could take out the likes of Jimbei,
Yeah,
Ace,
I mean,
Crocodile.
like I put Magellan. I'm pretty sure I put Magellan like higher on my list than either of you two, but he hasn't shown any hockey. Is my point.
Yeah, well,
So
again,
like,
that's one of the
yeah, if you have
people.
the tools to deal with him, you just
It's like
can.
NL. He's carried solely by the ability.
Yeah, literally.
But even then, it's like there's some ridiculousness to it. Which, okay, I'm going to segment into a new conversation topic here, and this is something that had I saw pop up in my YouTube feed after a long time, right? So about a year ago, 2 years ago, right? A conversation that was being had around the community was how strong Big Father is, and how he tanked a few hits from Big Mum while Big Mum was just like grabbing onto him King Kong style, right? Big Father's trash. Now that we're in Wano and now that we've seen Big Mum and what she's capable of, Big Father's trash. Getting hit by a Yonko with no Haki, that's not a feat, really. Frankie's doing that. Shogun Frankie is stronger than a Devil Fruit, seemingly, that's built for defense.
Yeah,
That's
I could agree.
that's kind of trash. That's kind of ass. Like,
I mean, the thing is as well. Now that we've learnt about Rio and that it's a thing. Josu's kind of trash.
I mean, Josu's
right? Like,
trash
he
to
can't.
the 10 individuals that can use Rio and even hurt him. But even then, we don't know what Josu's like when he uses Armament Haki on his diamond, and we know that he's like supposed to be insanely quick. Like he was speed.
I mean, he's a fighter.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, like, I feel like if you've got Rio, you can deal with him. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like,
yeah.
I think Luffy could deal with.
No, I agree.
With Josu.
I agree. Having Rio is the thing to beat the diamond, to counteract the diamond.
Yeah.
At least.
I think Gear 4 Luffy, like Dressrosa Luffy, beats Josu if Josu didn't have the diamond fruit.
Do you know what?
Then just
I have a question.
Yeah.
Mihawk's the world's strongest swordsman. Mihawk undoubtedly has Rio. Yep, Sword Rio. So what we saw Roger and Whitebeard using, where they wouldn't even touch weapons, right? So we're assuming that.
Yep.
In Marineford, when they say this is the world's strongest slash, is that a Rio-based slash, or is that just sort of like a projectile, the world's strongest projectile slash? Because the thing I'm more leaning towards talking about here, right, and the line of questioning I'm going with is, does Rio work at distance, or does it dissipate insanely fast at distance, so it's not really effective? Or flip side.
So could you use Rio to cut diamond if you did it directly?
I feel like you could do it. I feel like you could do it directly 100%, but can you do it from a distance? And more specifically, if you that Whitebeard, that Roger, and that Mihawk slash, if it had Rio, right? Is that just one-shotting Josu if it hits them point blank? If it hit him point blank?
I'm not sure.
It's a weird thing to think of, isn't it? Because it's like,
I mean, yeah. I mean, can Mihawk cut diamond? Because it seems to be like the hype thing, or where, like, if you can cut diamond, you can do anything.
But that's only.
It's like,
but the only
cutting
reason
diamond is
the only reason that's a thing, realistically, is because in Alabasta, Mr. One said, "What's next?" to Zoro. Are you going to cut diamond? Right. Outside of that, there's been no reference to people cutting diamond in the story. Outside of from time to time, sea stone is referred to as being as hard as diamond, but we've seen people cut sea stone.
Yeah, right.
So
One thing that's pretty interesting is the idea of like diamond is that it's very like it's very hard to cut, but you can crush it, right? If you
yeah,
get a hammer, you can crush diamond. And I think it would be really funny if like this big moment happened where like I don't know, someone had the diamond fruit, or maybe Zoro was just sparring Jozu or something, and he was like, and it was like, oh, is he going to be able to cut the diamond? And he just turns his blade around, just uses it as like a hammer, and just smashes the diamond.
I have always used that as an argument for Zoro and Mihawk versus Buggy. Why cut when you can just slap
Mm,
at Mach 2, Mach 5, whatever?
yeah,
Just smack him upside the head.
yeah.
So we haven't seen hybrid. We haven't seen hybrid Kaido. We haven't seen the Shadow. That sort of just hit me. We've had 3 setup chapters back to back to back,
Yeah,
setting
true.
up more stuff, but we haven't actually haven't started addressing anything really. And
Well, okay. Everyone seems to be super into there being a big tragedy, right?
mhm.
So what if right now we're just setting up everyone's place, and then as soon as we cut back, Kaido starts destroying everybody on the roof. Um, Robin gets captured. Sanji runs into someone and then loses. Jack finds the scabbards. Everyone just basically fails. What if that happens?
Could, and it wouldn't necessarily surprise me. It's just what would be the biggest
Hello?
tragedy? What would be the
Okay.
biggest tragedy to happen? Like, what is the worst case scenario? Is it us losing
Okay,
and
my
then us
thoughts.
fighting back?
No, my thoughts. Black Maria is similar because it seems like where the CP0 members are hanging out is
Mm-hmm.
around the Black Maria area, and it seems like Black Maria wants Robin specifically for a specific reason. So Black Maria has some kind of ties, or is just involved directly in CP0. Um, Everybody wins their fights, comes back, everyone gets together, goes to find Brooke and Robin. Brooke is laying on the ground with all of his bones crushed, and Robin is gone.
The only reason I would say no is because they're not. I would not stand for the. I would not stand for the Robin disrespect in that. But I am sort of in line with some of
I
that
don't know, man.
thinking.
Robin isn't a combatant. So Robin isn't a combatant, and she's versing Black Maria. So she's not gonna like Black Maria's not gonna get one shot by Robin, and then Black Maria has the communication, right? So she can tell CP0 where they are and that Robin's there, and the CP0 can all come. Brooke and Robin aren't taking on the entire of CP0, like that whole team.
I got a flip proposition as a question for you.
Yeah.
What if the tragedy isn't us losing in any way, shape, or form? What if the tragedy is Act 3 ends and we see that CP0 have reported back, right? And we just see
Yeah.
Wano's completely surrounded by the world government. Like, to the point where they could almost perform a buster call and just wipe out the island and sink the island. Or something along those lines. And, like, we get some top tier people show up. Even if it's not the
Mm.
Marines, as opposed to, like, you got to remember CP0 made Blackbeard run away from Dragon's territory after they fought. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
True.
like, I don't know, because I can see us losing and then coming back for a fight, but at the same point in time, right? It would almost feel it's almost cheap in a way to just lose like that and then win, if that makes sense. And I know it's very One Piece-esque, but like it'd almost be more interesting if all the Straw Hats win their fights and all the Beast Pirates are beaten, but the rooftop people lose, and then Kaido
Yeah, I'm not gonna
sees
lie.
like imagine if Kaido and Big Mom beat the people on the roof, but everyone else has won. Kaido and Big Mom come
Mm.
down, see that all their subordinates have been beaten, and then they just start beating out everyone.
Yeah. I mean, like, I don't know. I feel like I've heard so many times the Onigashima raid is going to fail, or there's going to be a big tragedy. You know, they're going to lose. They always fight 3 battles before they win, and all this stuff. I've been hearing it so much that I just want them. I just don't want it to happen. I just want them to just like fight it, win,
See,
done. You know,
it's
it's a hard fight, and then it's over.
it's like using the Kibi Dongos to tame the gifters, right? It's like we knew about it and were thinking of it for so long that when it happened, it was just sort of like.
You're just like, oh, okay, yeah, it happened.
And then, even
Yeah,
the way it
exactly.
happened in the chapter, it wasn't some like cliffhanger of that chapter. It was just sort of like thrown in midway through. Like, yeah, you already all predicted it. What do I care? And so
That's the thing. Like, I imagine like the headlines when the tragedy happens. Let's say like Luffy and everyone gets defeated. It's not going to be, oh my god, big shock, Luffy and everyone gets defeated. It's, oh, the tragedy happened.
yep. And
That's
see,
going to be what the chapter is
the
remembered as. It's like,
tragedy,
oh yeah, it's when the tragedy finally happened.
and to me, right, Oda's smart and he's cheeky and
Mm.
he does random stuff. Like, you couldn't have predicted Shanks showing up at Marineford in that moment.
Yeah.
In that exact moment, you couldn't predict it. There was no setup for it.
Yeah.
There was no like, oh, there's a ship on the horizon. Sometimes Oda just pulls stuff out just to be like, take that. You didn't predict that, did ya? I'm waiting for something like that. Like, but the problem is, the reason I say we can't just lose is because if we lose, Kaido and Big Mom kill these people. It's not just I beat them. They scuttle off and heal up and come back and fight, and better luck next time. Like, they say, like, I'm sorry, I can't. You guys are strong, but we're gonna kill you here. We're gonna take what you got, and it's gonna be ours.
Yeah.
And so, I'm looking at these people now, and I'm looking at this situation. I'm like, the tragedy isn't what worries me. It's the circumstances around the tragedy. And is what we think the tragedy? Or is it, oh, we had this bad hiccup, but the tragedy is sort of much worse than you anticipate? You know what I mean? Like, I mean, hell.
Yeah.
Imagine this is a tragedy. We're beating them here. Act 3 ends, and we're like, what? There was no tragedy? That's, what? Cut over, and then, oh yeah, Sub has been executed off screen. Bye. Done. There's a tragedy.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Like,
what if the tragedy just happens somewhere else?
Like, Oda's cheeky, and he don't be playing, like, he plays games, but he don't be playing the games that you want to play, right? You be putting out the chessboard, and he'd be playing checkers, 4D checkers. You know what I mean? Like, and it's scary because I know we've talked about this a lot in the past, but it's like he had the mention of like Shanks is on the move this year. Okay, Shanks is going to be on the move. Well, when we have the tragedy, are we just going to have one tragedy, or are we going to have a snowball effect of tragedies? Like, you got to think of Sabaody, right? We had, before the end of the first half of the story, we had in Sabaody, we had a friend get kidnapped, right? So we had to free her from getting kidnapped and sold into slavery. Then we had the badness of taking out one of the celestial dragons, and then a marine admiral came after us. And then we lost to the marine admiral, and we lost to a warlord. And then we got separated. And then after separating, we failed to free Ace from Impel Down. And then after failing to save Ace from Impel Down, we failed to save him from Marineford. And it went from every win that we had accumulated throughout the story to just loss after loss after loss after loss after loss.
And you can actually see it. You can actually see it in like the fan base, because like it went from Luffy's gonna win in every single arc to like no way Luffy beats that person. There's no way Luffy beats that person, right? Like when we were in Dressrosa, it was like, oh man, like Dofi's really strong. Like Luffy isn't that strong. Like isn't strong enough against him. And then he fights alongside Law, and they're like, okay, because there's 2 of them, he can do it. And then when Luffy actually beats Dofi, it's like, oh, he could only beat him because like he's still weaker than Dofi. He could only beat him because of Law.
Did 50%
and then they go
of
into
damage
Cracker.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then they go on to Cracker, and it's like, yeah, he couldn't have beat him if it wasn't for Nami. Then they go on to Katakuri, it's like he didn't even beat him.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, Katakuri just let him win. And it's like everyone just went from like constantly like supporting Luffy to be like, yeah, he's stronger than Crocodile. Like, imagine if that Alabasta arc happened around about right now in the series, everybody would be saying Luffy isn't as strong as Crocodile. There's no
Mm-hmm.
way. He only beat him because he got lucky at the very end. Crocodile beat him 3 times or twice, and like Crocodile, all he has to do is touch Luffy and he's gonna beat him. He just got like Luffy just got lucky.
He got sugared.
And yeah, and literally everybody would just be like, yeah, sure, yeah, Crocodile's stronger. And it's like the kind of thing flipped where now everyone just hardcore doubts Luffy, doesn't recognize how like ridiculously strong he is. And considering the fact that he's like in his early 20s and these people that he's fighting are like 40, 50, 60,
60.
like,
Yeah.
and they're like height of their power, have some of the strongest magical abilities in the entire of
Had
existence.
decades to master them, master their abilities, right? Master their
Mm.
hakis. Fought with some of the strongest and against the strongest people in the verse in their prime, right? Don't forget,
They were
Kaido and
giant
Big
strength
Mom
when they were
took on
5.
Garp. Kaido and Big Mom took on Garp and Roger and Roger's crew.
Mm. And then the other big thing is like Luffy doesn't know much about the world. Like every time we find out about something, it's also pretty much when like Luffy doesn't find out about a warlord until he like goes to meet
The
Crocodile, like
Warlord,
the
yeah.
first warlord. He doesn't find out about the Yonko until he's entering the new world. He doesn't like know all of these crazy techniques and like aim to train them. He's just adventuring. And these people are like they know everything. They have like crazy information networks. If there's a type of haki, they know it. And everything they haven't learned is just because they can't learn it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
They've like achieved pretty much everything they're capable of. Whereas Luffy's just kind of like, oh, that's a thing. All right, I'll try that. He just does it.
See, and that's one thing that's killed me here because, like, to me, the difference between Luffy and Kid is what the rest of the world's pace should be at. Kid is what Luffy would be at if he didn't luck out and get Rayleigh in that. You know what I mean? Where
Yeah.
Kid's like same level as Luffy. He's relying heavily on his Devil Fruit, and like I hoped he would have had Rio or some advanced Haki in that, but at the moment he's not showing it. And do you know what? Why would I expect him to actually really have it? Because
Mm.
look at it, the only people that have an advanced Haki are like first commanders that have been active for 50 years.
Yeah.
Kid's been active 4 years, 6 years. We know Kid, Law, and Beige have been active for 6 years at this point in the story. Because we know they'd been active
Mhm.
for like
There's
two.
a reason why they're called the worst generation, right?
Mm,
Not like a bad generation. Like they're literally a generation of people who are stronger than any generation previously had been at their age and their experience level. And they're like incredibly talented. Like Kid, Law, Luffy are like, if they get a chance to be like Big Mom and Kaido's age, they're gonna be like way stronger than them. Like you know,
oh
what
yeah.
they're gonna be like each of them is gonna be like a Roger or a Shiki or a Rocks,
Oh,
not
sorry.
a yeah,
I've got a rant for
not
you
a Big
there.
Mom or a Kaido.
Just a rant for you there. How much do you remember of Shiki? How well do you remember Strongworld?
Crapple. I mean, I remember that epic scene where he creates like those 2 massive lion heads,
Yeah.
and I know he can make islands and shit float. Like
Do
he's
you
pretty
remember?
busted.
You remember those lion heads he makes, right?
Yeah.
He makes like 14 of them. And do you remember that he can do that with water?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I do remember that. Yeah.
I'm sorry, that dude's just a subordinate on the Rocks crew, right? Could you just
Yeah, he's
imagine
insane.
you've got Kaido coming in doing a laser breath and floating up an island in the air so you can't escape? Then you've got,
Yeah.
or I guess Kaido wouldn't have had his ability then, but anyway, you got Big Mom making the land alive, so the land and environment itself is fighting you. You've got Shiki
Mm-hmm.
drowning you while you're fighting. Meanwhile, you're having to use your like max level Haki to try and fight Rocks himself. That is not a fun crew to go against, and realistically, that is the strongest crew. Like if Kaido ate his fruit and was still a part of that crew, got to think that crew should be the strongest.
Yeah,
They
I
be
mean,
broken,
outright.
like bad broken,
Yeah.
like unfair broken.
But then that's the thing as well, is like if you're at that top tier, anyone under you is just crap. Like you take Garp and Roger, team them up. The rest of the crew is just fodder. It's just a 2v1 against rocks. Like the rest of them aren't doing anything. Because this is prime Garp and prime Roger versus like, young everyone else.
Hmm.
So yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
I imagine it being like he's fighting them all off. They're just like Roger's just like wrecking everyone on Rox's crew, and then maybe like Whitebeard steps up and does something interesting, and he's like, "Oh, you're pretty tough," and then beats him, and then because he's like too young at that point.
Okay. Think of this as a tragedy. We see everyone on the roof gets taken down. Luffy's already down because he's run out of haki. So Luffy didn't get hurt more than what he is. He's just already down, technically speaking.
Yeah.
We cut down to the below set area. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All of the Straw Hats are seemingly beaten. All the Alliance is seemingly beaten. And we've got all the Beast Pirates have gone into their hybrid form to do it. Act 3 end.
Yeah.
We think that's the tragedy. Say Momo gets captured as well, right? Say Jack gets his hands on Momo. Act 3 end.
Yeah.
We cut to outside the world. We find out that the warlords have all been captured and are all about to be executed, along with the revolutionary chief of staff, Starbo.
Mm-hmm.
So there's about to be a mass execution. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Then we cut away. And we see Shanks on the move, right? And he's pulling up on Blackbeard. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Say, you know how he went to the world government to ask them for help? Like he went to the Gorosei?
Yeah.
Say they send some CP0 agents with Shanks to help him take on Blackbeard. Right?
Right.
But their objective is to try and double cross everyone. And so they try to weaken Shanks and Blackbeard to take them both out. And all they do is essentially just weaken Shanks so Blackbeard beats Shanks.
Mm.
And we just have those three tragedies back to back to back. Act 3 opens. Act 4 opens. How would you feel about that?
I mean, yeah, it'd be a big blow. I think it'd be interesting if the tragedies happen to do with their dreams. So like, maybe like Blackbeard becomes Pirate King, Laboon dies. You know, like, I don't know, like basically everyone's dream gets ruined.
Blackbeard becomes Pirate King. Sanji gets his hands damaged by not fighting back against a woman.
Mm.
Brook gets his afro cut off, so Laboon wouldn't recognize him. Right? Say some Yonko Island level attack destroys one of the poneglyphs. And Robin can't read the poneglyph here. At least just one of them gets damaged.
Yeah, right. So she'll never know the whole history.
She'll only have whatever she thinks is the whole history. But there'll always be a piece missing. That could be some tragic stuff there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Say Frankie just discovers...
Because the thing is that like Luffy wants to be the Pirate King, but the whole aim has been to find the One Piece, right? So him, he still eventually becomes the Pirate King, so he still eventually achieves his dream, but he doesn't get to achieve it the way he wants to. Robin still finds out everything about the Void Century, but there's a small piece missing. So she gets to achieve her dream, but she doesn't get to achieve it as much as she wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
Sanji finds the All Blue, but his hands are damaged and he can't cook as well. So he can catch every fish, but he can't cook them as well. So he gets his dream, but not as much as he wants to. So they don't actually get their dream complete. Yeah, like Zoro, like Mihawk gets defeated. Zoro goes on to be known as the world's strongest swordsman, but doesn't get to actually defeat Mihawk. So they all get their dream, just not in the way they wanted it. And it's like unsatisfying, but they still complete it.
That would almost make it more satisfying in a terrible way, though. because
and it would be like
consequences.
it would be like Brook shows up to Laboon. Laboon doesn't initially recognize him, and then and so like the what he's imagined as like the big reunion doesn't happen,
Hmm.
and then he has to spend like a couple days like convincing Laboon that it's him, like really awkwardly.
And it's like Laboon keeps conversing with Luffy, and Luffy's like, "It's Brook, you know Brook." And he's like,
Yeah,
It would be sad. That actually hurt, like pretty bad.
yeah.
I mean,
No one gets the way they want, but hey, it's a hard life.
it is. I mean, like, man, it's rough. It's rough out there. I okay. Going back a couple chapters to because we haven't seen Bitch Boy Hawkins. All right, we haven't seen Takashi 69.
Mhm.
Last time we really did see him, he was making a prediction about someone dying, and there's a 99% chance of someone dying today. Has that in your
Mhm.
mind? Has that changed of who you think that is, or do you have any idea who you think it is still? Because
Yeah, I don't know. I don't want to guess. I want it to be a surprise, honestly.
I,
So many things have already been predicted with the whole tragedy and everything, and like I honestly kind of resent the whole revealing that the thing's going to follow the play
mm,
format because it just kind of makes it too predictable. Like
but
I wish it was like
I
not
mean,
shown, but it did follow it, and then it's kind of revealed at the
that would
end.
be
I
the
don't
funny
know.
thing though, is if Oda does a 3-act play, and this is the last act,
Yeah.
and it's just a massive troll that he started off in Kabuki style.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Like, yeah, I kind of I want it to be like, oh, I don't know what's gonna happen next. Like anything could happen. Like,
Mm,
dude, like freaking Sanji could die as far as I'm aware, you know? Like I want it to be that.
yeah, I mean,
It's like it's the big pull of Game of Thrones, right? That like so many people just die all the time and you're like on the edge of your seat because like your favorite character who seemingly has an entire story arc ahead of them could just die randomly.
is Drake dying? You reckon Drake's dying this arc? Considering it seemed like Hawkins was talking about him at first.
I don't know, like I feel like at this point in the story, the goal is for Luffy to preserve as much strength as he can because after this it's going to be like the big world war at the end, right?
Hmm.
So I feel like a lot of people on his side kind of have to survive to add to his own strength. And like, I think Drake is going to be pretty integral in the whole some of the Navy deserting and joining Luffy's side. Um, like Fuji and Kobe and stuff like that. Maybe not even Kobe. Maybe like everyone will abandon and like Kobe will stay. Just out of
Honestly,
like
I
hardcoreness.
well, okay. Here's a weird thing, right? Kobe still gets
Mm,
promoted in the Marines, even though Akainu is the fleet admiral now. You could say that
yeah.
Akainu would be super bitter towards Kobe, or you could say that Akainu just doesn't care or doesn't have the time to care anymore. And it's like in the moment he would have done what he
Yeah.
did, but after it's like you're a Marine, I don't care.
But I mean, like, you would also say that, like Akinu seems like the kind of dude where he's like, no, I'm the strongest, and he seems like he's got a bit of an inferiority complex or superiority complex, where like he probably doesn't like Garp purely because Garp is the hero of the Marines, and he's like jealous, right? And like, I'd imagine he wouldn't even like Kobe just purely the fact that like Garp trains him.
See, I would say yeah, but it seems like Garp still taught Akainu to some extent in their youth. It
Yeah,
seems
yeah.
like Akainu was more under Aokiji than anyone. Sorry, not Aokiji, Sengoku than anyone. But
Hmm.
like, I'm pretty sure from I'll have to pull it up. I don't think Akainu was really touched as being one of the students of Zeph. Um, but that just sort of leaves Garp and Sengoku to be his like sort of tutor. You know what I mean?
I mean, like, you know, the interesting thing, like, all of these top tier Navy people have been like privately trained by the strongest of the top tier Navy people. It's like, why do you think they're the top tier, dude? Like,
Yeah.
you
Oh,
know,
definitely.
you're not, yeah, you're not necessarily natural talent. You've just been trained by Garp your whole life, and then Sengoku, and then Zeph, and then you
But
got given the strongest fruit in the history,
But
and
this
then
is what I'm meaning, where it's just like the Marines are so much more terrifying because on mass scale they're a lot stronger than given credit for because of this. You know
yeah,
what I mean? Where it's like if you can take Kobe and make Kobe top
mm,
50, right? If you can make a Kobe top 50, you can make anyone top 50.
Yeah. I mean, like, Kobe has zero talent. He only has hard workingness,
Mm-hmm.
right? He's just
And it wasn't
hard
even hard
working.
work on his behalf, as Garp changed his mindset to push him to do more hard work.
Yeah.
Because we've got the cover story in that where Kobe wanted to be a Marine, but he was still terrified of everything until Garb like smacked him upside the head and was like, "I'm taking you. You're my dude now."
Yeah. True.
Yeah. No, I don't think Akainu was directly a subordinate of Z. I remember in Chapter 0, he was seen under the flag of Admiral Sengoku at the time. So I dare say it's between Sengoku and Garp for who trained Akainu the most. I dare say it'd probably be more Sengoku. Because you got to remember, Sengoku's a piece of crap. Like, thinking back on it, right? No, I'm not even kidding, man. Rereading Eni's lobby, Sengoku is not a good dude. Like, we know him as the old lovable dude, and we like him because it's like he's Sengoku's the dude that's just like necessary evil. I did it for my job. Piece of crap his whole life, and then retires, and he's like, I'm actually a pretty nice guy individually. If you don't give me the big red button that
You guys
nukes
should like
everyone.
him.
Well,
Yeah.
you got to remember, he's the one that sent them like he's the one that found out Saul abandoned the Marines and sent them after Saul to eliminate Saul, right? Which also
Yeah.
added and then like he had no sympathy for him, and he was like, I don't care about the will of like you're not allowed to care about the will of D and that sort of stuff. Anyone that does that, I'll just get executed on the spot. Piss off. We're having none of it. Had no sympathy for the scholars of Ahara or anything like that, even though we know he knows what the will of D is.
Yeah. Right.
You know what I mean? Like, he's in his youth, he's just a lot more like ruthless, and even in his old age, right? I know it's a job's a job, but he's like, when it came to executing Ace, instead of just trying to keep things private for Garp's behest, right? He's like, nah, Roger's son. We're making a public showcase of it, right? We'll drag him out in front of everyone we know. We'll tell everyone we know that he's Roger's son, and we're gonna have a war just to demoralize my old rival Whitebeard. Screw him. We're doing it. Drag the names through the mud. I don't care. We're fighting. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah. True.
I mean, I get lost in like, you know, his buddy cop duo with Garp, but he can be a piece of crap. But yeah, no, the Marines at the moment are just like in that weird zone to me, right? Where like, One Piece Marines. The Marines are in that weird zone where we know that some of them have got like 6 powers and stuff like that, right? We know that they pretty much have a monopoly on Logias, which is pretty damn broken. Outside of having a monopoly on Logias, they've got a pretty big monopoly on just devil fruits in general. They're the organization with the most devil fruits, right? And they've just got ridiculous numbers, ridiculous people, ridiculous factions. Like, what did Big Mum say about the Giants in Whole Cake Island? She would have beat the other Yonko if she had formed an alliance with the Giants, right?
Yeah.
Well, the world government has a pseudo alliance with some giants, considering they have an entire giant marine corps. You know what I mean? Because of Mother Carmel selling giants off and trading giants to the Marines. So not only do the Marines have their own giants corps, they've got the Pacifista program, which they had 20 people that they're pretty much mass produced like 20 people that could beat pretty much anyone with a 300 million bounty or under pre-time skip for the most part, or 250 mil bounty and under, like certainty, right? Then on top of that, they've got a monopoly of Logias. They've got a heap of vice admirals. Everyone of vice admiral level and above 100% has Haki. People below that rank can have Haki, but everyone of that rank and above 100% has it. Like,
Yeah.
they, and not just that, they monopolize technology, monopolize transport, food, weapons. The only thing they wouldn't have really had a monopoly on is Seastone, but they've done so many underground trading deals for it that they've just got Seastone handcuffs on cuff. Like they've just got them readily available at pretty much any major marine facility. Like as an
Yeah.
organization, they are like just dominant, and that's just the Marines. That's not even taking into like consideration the CP agencies stacked up on them, and then any other extra fighting force that like Kong is, or that the world government has separate to just the Marines. You know what I mean?
Right. Okay.
So it's like, as an organization, they are so filthy to the point where it's just like, even if some of these people start showing up in Marineford, not Marineford, at Wano, right, or start trying to invade Wano, considering we've got two Yonko there, we've got our entire fleet there trying to go against them. If we just get one more faction show up, we're already screwed, right? We've got the big mum pirates hanging around downstairs ready to come up at a moment's notice. If any other faction shows up, it's just like game over. For pretty much everyone. Everyone's going to be way too fatigued or way too injured to do anything about anything.
Yeah, that's true.
Oh well. Alright.
That's what happens when you got a monopoly, right?
Yeah. They have a dirty monopoly. I mean, the Yonko are trying to monopolize, but you got four people trying to monopolize what? 1/6 of the world? You got four people trying to monopolize 1/6 of the world, and the rest of the world is 100% dominated by this other group. It's pretty broken. And it's
busted.
weird hearing it like that, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, like that's the whole show, right? Is that they're like the big baddies and everyone's fighting for the Pirate King, but they're the real big
I'm
baddies.
I'm waiting for it where we hear the Void Century, and I reckon it'll really be a toss up as to the world government terrible pieces of crap that need to be taken out, and the Marines or the world government did nothing wrong. You know, like those heaps edgy comments of it's just like, no, they did nothing wrong.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because it's
right.
going to be like the greater of two evils. Yeah, they got slavery and they suppress like 90% of the world, but right, the alternative was everyone be free and at war with each other constantly. Anyway, is there anything else you wanted to say? Any predictions you've got for the next chapter?
No, I'm pretty happy. I'm not sure what they're gonna do next chapter. I think probably just another one of these.
I don't
It
think we
doesn't
go
seem
back to
like
the
they've
roof.
reached like a yeah, it doesn't seem like they've reached like a point where they're gonna go back to the roof yet.
Um, I think this is happening in tangent. I don't think any time's going to have passed on the roof. I think this is sort of like not necessarily flashback, but all this is sort of happening at the same time, as it sort of has been for the most part. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? I feel like
Right.
next chapter we're gonna set up whoever Sanji's gonna face against, and Yamato getting to the Scabbards and knowing that Jack's on his way to the Scabbards. So it'll probably set up Yamato and Jack, Sanji and Queen, or alternately, maybe Sanji and King, and Marco tags out for Queen if Queen's going to be using chemical
Ooh.
weapons, because that way Marco's got a straight nerf for it.
Mhm.
Because we don't know if the raid suit sort of negates just toxin and poison and that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, fair.
But we know it's got a resistance to fire, and what's King fighting with? So it'd be bad. It depends on if Odo, like, because, Sanji goes up against King. We already saw King overwhelming Sanji in strength, but if King's, like, a little bit fatigued now from Marco, and then all of a sudden Sanji negates all of his abilities, and is just turning invisible and getting, like, off-guard strikes on him, pretty quick takedown for Sanji.
Yeah.
Well,
True.
rightio. I'll catch you later on the next chapter.
Yeah.
All right.
Should become king.
Yeah. Give me 2 secs. Thank you all for coming. Nothing but love, nothing but respect. If you want to help out the channel, you know what to do. Subscribe, like the video. It always helps. If you want to tell me what you thought of this chapter, or tell me what your thoughts were on anything we discussed in this chapter, hit it up in the comment section down below. On top of that, you can always feel free to jump in the Discord and talk anything anime and manga related to me and Daniel in the Discord. All right. Nothing but love, nothing but respect. You know what we do, what we don't, what we is, what we isn't. And until the next chapter of One Piece, peace, and have a damn good time. Bye.